on, Hype Nation? Welcome back to another video. Today we have a special Lucky Larsen episode. In this video, we're going to be going over the pattern, their experiences, as though Andrew and Nate both competed. I was watching from afar. Wish I could have came to Sweden, but we're back now from the tournament. We're gonna talk to Andrew and Nate. How was your experience?
I mean, I had a blast personally. I just want to thank Patrick, Martin, and Daniel for all of their incredible work there for the tournament. They're incredible hosts, and we can't wait to go back next year. I had a total blast. I bowled pretty well. I made the final advances round. I didn't bowl my best there, but I really enjoyed bowling overseas. It was my first time doing it. And yeah, I just can't wait to get into it. We have the pattern out there. We're gonna get into how the pattern played. Nate, how about yourself?
Yeah, personally, I had a blast meeting people from all around the European Union, meeting people from countries that I never thought were even real. Big shout out to Daniel, Patrick, the whole staff there, and Martin Larsen for making this thing happen. But for me, I had a really successful trip down there. I made my first telecast, very nerve-wracking out there. So, I mean, it was a totally different experience compared to the United States to out there in Europe. But it was a lot of fun. Can't wait to go back, and I can't wait to show you guys what we did out here on the lanes right now like we did out in Europe.
Yeah, let's get right to it. We're gonna kick it right over to none other, Andrew's father, Bruce. He's gonna talk to you about the pattern, different oil structures, and let's go over to Bruce.
What's going on, Hype Nation? Bruce Hall here. I finally get to be on one of these videos, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the Lucky Larsen lane pattern. We actually have it up here on a PDF, and I'd like to take you through it a little bit. As you can see, some of the stats, it's 29.5 mils, which seems like a fair bit of oil. 1.92 to 1, so definitely a sport compliant type shot. And they use ice oil, they use ice, and that's important because this pattern in one of the loads actually uses dual tanks, and let's talk about that for a second. When people were bowling on the Lucky Larsen, they could not believe how quickly the lanes changed. And you could see guys, rarely would someone be able to play the same line at the end of a game that they did at the beginning of that game. And let's look at a little bit maybe why that was. And if we look at some of the loads that are here, right, let's begin right with the very first load heading down the lane. You have 2 left to 2 right, so a 2 to 2 load, right, full width of the lane. And then you have 4 loads of oil with both tanks, A and B. So both tanks sum together and feed the brush, and so a ton of oil is going down in that first 6 feet. As it turns out, it's 13.3 mics of oil. That's almost half of the 29 mics that are out there, right? So almost half the oil is in the first 6 feet of the lane, right? So then we move down, that's this red area down here, right? You see this? Now we keep going down, and you can see the loads in the middle here, and you can see there's loads from 8 to 8, 10, 11 to 10, 14 to 12. You know, these are the middle loads that you use for a little bit of hold on the lane, right? And then you go down, then you have a little buff out here. They have some buff out loads, 3 buff out loads on the way down, right? So coming back, there's another interesting load. Let's look at this one, the last one from here, from 16 to 8 feet, which is just past the arrows down to in front of the arrows, right? Here's a 2 to 2 load, right? That uses almost 6 mics, 5920 microliters, right? So almost 6 mics. So 6 plus 13 is 19. That's almost 20 of the 29 mils that are on the lane are in these 2 loads, a load here and a load here. So what is down here, right? You look at down here where the break point is, no wonder the shot would change every shot. There's less than 10 mics in the whole rest of the lane, right? If you look at the whole pattern and the way it's laid out. So no surprise that the guys were having to make moves quickly and aggressively, and certainly every game. And then what was really interesting, when people got to their 6th game of each of the squads, you could see everybody lofting. So everybody would be way left, and they'd loft over whatever oil was on the lane. So they didn't even use this first 6 feet. So it was very interesting to watch how the pattern broke down. And so that's kind of a quick overview of the pattern. If we look at it here in Specto, right, and we'll use this now as we bowl on this pattern, you can see here it is on our overlay, right? Here is all that oil in the front, and here's that oil from that 16 to 8 load, and here it all is here. And you can see how little there is here and how long this buff out is. So you can see how the pattern breaks down and changes very, very quickly, especially down lane towards the end of this 44-foot pattern. That's it, guys. Have fun.
All right, Dad, thank you for that. This was a pretty unique tournament. So there was a whole bunch of qualifying squads. Each of them consisted of 6 games. And it was kind of a unique twist where you ended on the pattern or on the pair you started on. So it really took a lot of importance of how you broke down your first pair. So we're gonna get into that and how you really should be doing that. It's very important. I know Nate had a different strategy, I think, than I did, but breaking down lanes, it's pretty universal. So we're gonna get into that right now. What you want to do is you want to throw plastic up the middle of the lane to really stretch the oil down so that there's a lot of oil close to the head pin. And then you want to throw a strong reactive ball to the right so you create some hook there. So you want to take a kind of a bigger hooking reactive ball up the right side, outside, up like 6-7 if you will, and we'll take a plastic ball straighter down the middle. So you want to create some hook to the right and hold to the left. So that'll really promote high scores, especially when you come back to your pair for the last game. You'll set yourself up with something a little bit more scoreable than maybe following other people's transitions. So we're gonna go do that right now on our pair. We'll see you there. All right, so as you can kind of see here on their Specto, we have 2 kind of distinct lines. So these ones right here in the middle, that's me throwing a plastic ball. That's me trying to push oil down in the middle to try to create some hold. Plastic carries oil down the lane, so we want as much oil down there in front of the head pin as possible. So when we miss left, our ball catches that oil and goes down. When we miss right, all of these lines right here, this green one that just showed up, those are Nate's balls to the right there with a reactive ball with some surface. So he's trying to take oil off the lane, which creates dry and friction that us bowlers love so much. So we're gonna try to throw it to that spot roughly and have our balls hook back, where if we throw it to this spot here, it'll go straight. So that's kind of the purpose of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, so my strategy for this tournament was pretty simple. Stand left and throw it hard. Really what worked well was the track stealth mode. I put that at 3,000. I stood about no righter than 36 at all during the tournament, so I was sliding 36 every time, hitting about 22, 20 at the arrows, trying to get it to about 10, 8. Overall, that looked really good. The ball with 3,000 on it smoothed out the pattern very well, especially with the buff on it. I felt like I was very in control the whole time, and then when that ball started to overreact, I had a Super CUDA at 3,000, ready to go. But yeah, I mean, overall my line looked really well. I thought I executed really well, and I felt like I had the most miss room out of anyone else out here. So I'm gonna throw a few shots of what I did right now, and we're gonna see how it translates from now to what we did out in Sweden. So I'm gonna go grab my chamois. So just for the fun facts, I am standing about 36. Probably wanna hit about 23, 22 at the arrows, and trying to run over that second tracer. So like right there, that was probably the whole line I was doing. Wasn't trying to do a lot to it. Wasn't trying to throw a big end or angle to it. Just trying to keep it straight and narrow to the pocket. Something smooth, something controllable. Let's hopefully do it 2 more times, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Andrew next. But yeah, no, this is a very fun tournament for me. Had a lot of success, especially after a rough season. Oh God, that's way in. Shout out to the burn. One more good one here, then I'm gonna call it and send it over to Andrew. But yeah, as you can tell, it looks really good on this pattern. So felt very controlled once again, and it was just a very fun tournament for me. Thank you very much once again to the staff out there, everyone who was involved, volunteers, workers. So looking forward to coming back. And now let's go hear Andrew Hall's point of view on this.
All right, Nate just threw a few shots, looked fantastic with a stealth mode from way left. I have a little bit of a different strategy. I have a hammer effector here, a little bit of a different drilling. I have a pin in the palm drilling. That for me just lets me get it through the front part of the lane a little bit easier. As my dad explained before, a lot of the oil is in the front part of the lane, and then it's pretty short after that. There's only like 30 feet of live oil. So this lower pin in the palm helps me blend that spot out a lot easier, so I can throw a little bit more of a normal shot. I'm gonna get out on the lanes now and show you how it's done. All right, so Nate said he was sliding standing like 36, but I'm gonna be a little bit closer to like 28 probably, and just be a little bit softer with my speed, because this ball is pretty straight through the front. Yeah, that looked pretty good there. So that's really what looked good a lot of the time for me in Sweden. I threw that the majority of the time. I only threw one other ball really, that was a Black Widow Ghost, and that ball in general is really slow and blendy. Kind of similar to the Effector, not quite as extreme, just like an asymmetric pearl version of a blendy ball. So I'm gonna throw that. I'm gonna throw one more shot with the Effector and then show you guys the Ghost. Got a hook. All right, we got trusty, the Black Widow Ghost, or as I like to call it, the Black Widow Goat. So for modern balls, I would probably equate this the most to like a combat, a little bit slower combat. That's why I love the combat so much. But we're gonna go back to where we were before because I didn't really want to hook, so we're gonna stand like 33. The last one was at 35. So we're standing 33 right here. Give it a chance. It's kind of up the lane. So that right there is the plastic. So I missed pretty close to the head pin. I missed pretty far left, but because I threw a lot of shots with plastic down the middle, it caught that oil and it sat there. So that's why we do that. All right, one more good one here with the Ghost. Give it a chance. Best ball.
All right, my turn to shine. I'm gonna be throwing the Swag Apex Pearl. One question I had, as you guys know or may not know, Sean Rash won the Lucky Larsen event. All right, as I've seen, Sean Rash is a free agent. I've been seeing a couple of videos throwing some swag balls. I'm trying to find out, because swag is not PBA product registered, what a swag ball would look like on the Lucky Larsen pattern. That one helped. There it is. Wow. You know, that's something as a viewer when I was watching, I was seeing at the actual tournament. You know, as you can see, it's either a hit or a miss. I don't know if that would have affected Sean Rash's way of thinking, picking an arsenal, since he is a free agent. I know he was using a bunch of motive stuff, but no matter what you threw, you had to repeat your shot, adapt quickly, because that oil was taking from the front, moving overall. Another thing, as a viewer, didn't see too much urethane being thrown right now. That is a big thing people are talking about. Reasoning for, my opinion, there was a lot of oil in the front of the lane, so that way once it got past that, it would just hook too much, wasn't consistent, and believe that's why bowlers weren't throwing urethane that much.
The other thing we get asked a lot about the Lucky Larsen is, was urethane in play there? And the answer was, it really wasn't. If you look at these Specto shots that Andrew and Tyler and Nate all threw, you can see most shots, I mean, all these are the carve shots they threw early in the match. But here, when they've got over to the left, I mean, they're crossing 20 or deeper, right? This is not really a urethane line. I mean, there was a lot of oil in the front, so if you wanted urethane to recover, you had to really spin it hard. And if you did that, and it got into this, if you pulled it left a little bit, this buff out did not provide a lot of hold. The ball would hook and go past the head pin to the left. And if you threw it to the right, urethane is not known for big recovery like reactive is, so it would go out to the right and it wouldn't make it back to the pocket. So you saw very, very few guys throwing urethane. You notice urethane mostly is when guys want to go straight. You know, if you want to go out and fire it right up 10 or right up 5, 6, 7, straight up the lane and right to the pocket, that's a urethane type shot. The Lucky Larsen pattern was definitely not conducive to urethane.
So from the shots I've thrown, I think I've seen enough. Tells me all I needed to see. I'm gonna throw one more, then we're gonna go straight into Nate on the TV show. If you haven't already, like the video, comment, make sure you subscribe. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We can't do that without you. Let's throw one more shot and we'll head over to the Lucky Larsen Masters final. Bang.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I think I've had a few TV experience from PBA Junior to the Battle of the Brands. So, I mean, this is nothing I've never seen before. So I'm ready to have some fun.
Awesome. And we wish you all the best and good luck and enjoy. The people are ready and hopefully you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
Underway. Purchase from just outside Boston leaves a 10-pin. First short. And the only two-hander on the show here tonight. The 23-year-old respond with his own split.
Qualifying average to make Sunday this week was 215 last year.
Okay, how does the youngster respond here? Left lane. Almost another one.
Ultimate definition of who wins.
Didn't like that. There's a reason. Oh my goodness. The Allen Brie with their missile wedding. All right, back to purchase. How does the youngster respond? Looking for help. Messenger across the deck. There it is.
That's what he's looking for. That's exactly what he's looking for, Dave.
Son. Very close friends. Left lane for the youngster. That looks a lot better. Post that one. 39-pin lead. Working on a strike. Right lane, it's high, it's a miss. Down the line for 3-6-10. Pre-show said I got to be the best in the building tonight. Not early. Colors, as in the hockey team in the NHL. Same for this guy. First ever show for the youngster. Watch out. Came in high, could. Important, turns away, knew he had. Left lane, foundation frame, it's high.
Down the lane.
Happy with that. Saw the key stats a moment ago, leading us to this point. Starts the critical 10th. Talking to it. The former rookie of the year. Mark, watch out. It was high, it didn't split. Gotta have it. Doesn't have it. In dramatic fashion, what a finish. And they purchased, not much you could do. Walk away.
Let's prepare ourselves for the